I'm not a lawyer, but today got a little spicy in the YSL Rico trial. So let me give you a recap on day 5. First, all of the witnesses that testified today were from the Atlanta Police Department, and each of them testified about different encounters that they had with defendants. None of the officers' faces were shown, and honestly, most of it was boring.
And what is the policy as it relates to body cam footage for a traffic stop such as this with the Atlanta Police Department?
Sure.
But then it got spicy. Let me give you context before we get into it. This is Quamarvious Nichols, aka Quay. He's charged with 7 counts in the indictment, including violating the RICO Act and unaliving Chimel drinks. Quamarvious is represented by the well-respected and highly regarded attorney Bruce Harvey, aka the ponytail lawyer, and Quamarvious is also represented by this woman. Her name is Nicole Westmoreland, and today she was running the show. So a sergeant by the name of Charles Ross is brought up to testify about Overt Act number 77, which alleges that Quamarvious Nichols committed the felony offense of possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. And that act stems from an incident that occurred on October 23rd, 2018 around the Cleveland Avenue area. Sergeant Ross testifies about seeing a video on Instagram from an account that he believes is owned by Quamarvious Nichols.
Video began to play. There was a male I suspected to be Mr. Nichols sitting inside the driver's seat of the Chevy. It was a gray in color Chevy. The door was open. He had a red bag that I could see like in the background, and what appeared to be in his hand was suspected marijuana.
And once you saw that video, what, if anything, did you do?
I immediately called a team together to further investigate, gave them all the information on what we were going in to do and who we were looking for and what we were looking for.
The video he's referencing is played in court.
Quay right here trying to get in. Auntie said she want her young man.
All right. And circle where you see the red object.
And then the police body cam footage of when Sergeant Ross and the team he alerted went to the location Quamarvious was at to investigate what he saw.
Fellas, what's going on? Who got the weed over here? Nobody? Yeah, it's coming from right here. I ain't crazy. Do me a favor, I'm going to detain you, man.
What you detain?
Step up.
Why you detain?
Step up, because this whole area smells like weed, so we're going to detain all y'all.
Yeah, I got him detained. It's a blunt right here on the ground. On the ground, and some shake all in this car, in one of the cars over here.
Another video of Sergeant Ross asking one of the women that were at the scene was also played.
Is weed in that gray vehicle right there?
I'm not sure.
Have you seen anybody? Have you seen anybody go to that gray vehicle?
No.
Nobody at all. So, I mean, it don't matter to me. Because I'm going to hold y'all here until I find out what I need to find out.
Here's what Sergeant Ross says he found at the scene.
After the search, we recovered 17 grams of marijuana, a scale, a plastic bag, some sandwich box bag with a sandwich box with smaller plastic bags inside of it, as well as 3 firearms located throughout the vehicle.
And then Nicole Westmoreland gets to work. Here is some of her cross-examination of Sergeant Ross.
Okay, so I asked you, you do not know when the video, meaning the Instagram video, when it was created. You do not know that, correct?
No.
Okay. And when you get there, Mr. Nichols, who you believe to be Mr. Nichols, he's not even in that car, the gray car anymore, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And let me ask you a question. Let me make sure that I'm clear on this. You saw another post on that same social media account from the day before or earlier that day with the same clothes on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so out of all of the individuals that was congregating that evening, no one else was arrested, right?
Correct.
All right, and so you based your arrest for Mr. Nichols solely on what was in the gray car, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the gray car that he was not in when you arrived?
Yes.
Okay, the gray car that you couldn't pinpoint what time that he may have been in that car, correct? You don't know, I asked you that earlier.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and Officer Ross, let me just ask you this. You're aware that the marijuana charge against Mr. Nichols was dismissed?
No.
You're not? No further questions.
Then Keith Adams, the co-counsel for Young Thug, also did some cross-examination of Sergeant Ross as well.
You'll ask some questions about, quote, gang activity or gang whatever in that area, right?
Yes.
These folks in their neighborhood are put in handcuffs by you because you want to detain them, you want to investigate, right?
To locate the marijuana, yes.
Locate the marijuana that you saw in a car on an Instagram post that you don't know when was posted, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Nichols gets arrested.
Yes.
And that is the extent of it, right?
Yes.
Except at no point while you're conducting this investigation, while you're on the scene, is there anyone out there throwing up gang signs, right?
Correct.
Right. Ain't nobody out there while you're conducting this investigation that you're here talking about, that you're here testifying about in this Rico racketeering gang case, throwing up gang signs saying, I'm selling some marijuana because I'm YSL. None of that, right?
I sustain the objection.
No gang signs.
No gang signs.
All right. That's all.
I'm probably going to say this a bunch of times, but just to be clear, the repeated points being made about gang signs or gang affiliations or that the police have never made mention of it in their reports is important because, to Keith Adams' point, this is a racketeering or a RICO case. The state has to prove and the jury has to be convinced that all of these overt acts are connected and were done to further the criminal street gang YSL versus these acts being done by individuals who did them for their own individual reasons. Basically saying everyone who commits a crime isn't a part of a gang. Anyway, child, that was a time. We gonna see what tomorrow brings.